working on my piece called The Game. And yes, these are my official nerd glasses. Here's the pawns I'm working on right now. You can see they're all different sizes. You can see where I worked on here. I'll show you the small pieces because it's easier to tell. So here's a small piece. You see how it's nice and smooth and the edges are nice and crisp and clean. Well, here's one that has not been polished yet. It's very unfinished, very wrinkly. So what I'm working on is dremeling the edges out so it has that nice smooth effect. I've been working on it for 13 years. It was a vision, so now I'm just trying to piece this thing together and get it out of my head so I can share it with you. And to be honest, like, the piece has 16 character pieces. These are just the pawns. These are not my character pieces. And I had to create the three-dimensional strictly because I wasn't skilled enough to paint them on the canvas because I didn't want to mess up the background. And so to eliminate that fear of mistakes, I decided to go three-dimensional. I think there's something beneficial of being the jack of all trades, because to be the jack of all trades, you have to have knowledge of all the different things that you can do, how to Dremel a pawn piece, and to look at to mentally look at it and see what's different here. You know, it's kind of like those picture finds on what's different. Can you find the 5 different things? I like those things. It helps my eyes, you know, convey. But it's the same concept of doing that. And, you know, I mean, a jack of all trades. I know I'm getting off subject. I'm all over the place. I know, that's how I think. That's why they call it a jack of all trades. You're freaking everywhere. But there's points in being jack of all trade. You get the key elements. You get to see the meat and the potatoes with it without learning the seasonings. I guess that would be the best metaphoric way for me to describe a jack of all trades. Is it's knowing the meat and potatoes of all the different things. But within knowing the meat and potatoes of all the different things, you're able to take those elements and bring it into one to make the master of yourself. So being the jack of all trades isn't a bad thing. You know, the master of two, like, you can't have 2 masters. Well, jack of all trade is almost like, what is, if you can't have 2 masters and you're a jack of all trades, then what exactly are you mastering? You're mastering yourself. You're taking the meat and potatoes of each and everything of every trade, and you're making a master of one. Wouldn't that be the master of yourself, of being one? Like, everything has a key element, that a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and then you blend it all together, and what do you have? You have the master of yourself. That is what it truly means to be a jack of all trades. And I just don't understand why some people think it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I love martial arts because it's almost like a dark side of humanity, you know, to know war without being violent. There's something balancing about that. But I also love, like, with learning about the game, I love all the different religions. Like, you know, there again is the jack of all trades. Like, the jack of all trades in religion. Like, what is that? What is that? Like, I was just stating earlier that the jack of all trades is the master of one, of yourself. So what is it truly to be one? To be one, you would have to be the jack of all trades, because I'm ranting and raving with my nerd glasses on. Ain't that great? Morning dew. Good morning. But honestly, like, what is the jack of all trades? You can be the jack of all trades of multiple things, of religion, of culture, of not just martial arts, but in body health, of mind, mental, body, spirit, all that stuff. That's the meat and potatoes of being all one, the jack of all trades. And it comes from everything. It comes from culture. It comes from religion. It comes from knowing your body and including your self-worth. And a lot of us don't even know what it is we're worth. And we lower our values and we lower our standards because we believe that's what society wants us to do. You know, I'm really tired of society telling me what I need to do and how I need to live my life. Like, why can't I be the jack of all trades, the oneness of myself? Like, I don't understand. If you really think about life in general, and culture and religion and politics and all this stuff, and you throw it all together in one ball, it's really a lot to think about. And what do we mean when we state that we're all one? If we're all one, we're taking all of that stuff, that ball of stuff that we all have to carry, and we're mushing it all around, and we're spinning it in a circle, and we're trying to roll the dice of, what are we? What am I? It's a whole mental game. And honestly, and if I can state anything of what I've learned about creating the game, that is it in a nutshell. Everything I just stated. It's all that stuff. It's all the politics. It's all the emotion, the rawness of ourselves, of us as one. Like, do people even realize what they mean when they say I'm all one? Do they? Do they really understand it? Can they look at someone's flaws and say, I am at one with that. I understand where they were at that point of their well-being. And I'm not stating well-being and like their whole well-being, their mental well-being, their physical well-being, their emotional, just like all this stuff, where they're living, their circumstances, their resources, their well-being. Like that's all one. That's all one. And if we can't see where all one is and mentally focus it, that your opinion is all one, your opinion is all one, your opinion is all one, we don't look at it that way. We have to be like, oh no, that's not all one, but I'm all one. No. Does that make any sense? Not at all. But that's exactly how people are running around in society playing this game of life. What's wrong with being the jack of all trades? What's wrong with having more than one master? Like, I don't even know what one master means. Like one master of what? Like, if you look at yourself as a blank canvas, completely empty of everything that we've ever learned, what would you put on there for yourself? What is all oneness for yourself? What is that? And nobody asks these questions. No, they'd rather go around and gossip about one another and point out everybody else's flaws, but they don't even look at themselves. Very rarely. That's right, Kumba. And life is more precious than that. To be all one. It's very big question. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm currently working on the jacket of Osama bin Laden. These things are getting more complicated as they come off the canvas. But you know what? It's really great I get to learn how to do it. It's just a process, and to see how my growth has been coming along from the very first one, which was Martin Luther King and Heinrich Himmler. In the process of working on this jacket, I'm trying to develop his arms as if they're already in the jacket. So this is kind of a process of molding the clay by hand. No 3D printer here. This is the ultimate paper mache clay. So it is quite the process, and is, to some, would be very daunting, but I kind of find it mesmerizing. I look at the picture and I see what needs to be done on how to create the look. Now, right now I'm trying to position his arm in here. So now I'm having to tap the clay into position. And as I'm doing that, I am also tapping the clay and molding it onto the clay. Yes, good morning. So laid out in front of me, I have the things that I'm working on. Ivan's right here, my pawns. I have the sketch of Ivan right here that I did. And I also have my iPad with a photo that I'm trying to interpret the best that I can. So, Ivan's fancy. Doing the game, I've learned a lot about all the different characters. Ivan, he was a redo due to lack of skill and the right equipment to make them. So I had to, nerd glasses are on now. So what I do is I have this stuff called the ultimate paper mache clay, and I make it in little balls, see, and it has to be contained or it hardens. So and I only take off a little bit of what I need, and honestly, this right here is all I'm working with right now. It's really nothing. And it's probably too much for what I'm going to do. So I try to keep it damp while I'm working with it. You know, just a little dab of water here and there. And I just, this is what I'm working with on this finger right here. That's all right now. And sometimes when I'm working on these, it gets a little overwhelming, and then I just remind myself that I'm just working with this little itty bitty piece right now. Just this little itty bitty piece. It's all I have to manage. And isn't that life sometimes? We get overwhelmed by the things in our daily life that we have to manage. And if we look at the whole ball of clay, it's really overwhelming. But if you just take just a little bit, and just work with that, and you'll find it'll help with a lot of anxiety. I came from a family that was very high in depression and anxiety and all that stuff. And I had to learn to overcome it by multiple ways. I don't take any Prozac or any of the medical things that they like to prescribe us. My mom, she was a victim of, I don't know. Victim's such a strong word when also it's your choices. You know, I try not to use the word victim. Being victimized, it's life, you know. We make the choices that we go down, and that's our rabbit hole, and there's our consequence, or our surprise, or, you know, pretty much we're just lifing. So, you know, you just really gotta learn to take it easy, not to life yourself to death. So if you take it in little small strides, like just this little itty bitty sushi roll on my finger that I'm working with right now. And right now I'm giving Ivan his top eyelid. It needs to be a little stouty at the edge. And he had droopy eyes. So there, gotta add the droop. And it has to go just so. And smooth it out to his eyebrow. Top eyelid. That's all. That's all I'm working with right now. It's just the top eyelid. And then I'm gonna go do the next top eyelid. And this thing's been a process. It's taken me nearly 3 years to get the pieces situated. I'm not a full-time artist. I would love to be someday. I believe it'll happen. I guess you can just say I'm a hobbyist perfecting my craft at this time, and this piece has definitely perfected a craft that I was unaware that I had. And, you know, and that's just part of life. You don't know what you have until, you know, you play this game of life. Yesterday was a hard day for me. I had to put my beloved, this is Casper. He has 3 legs. He loves the water too. No, Casper, over here, honey. Here's your water. Here's your water, honey. There you go. And, he's a little rough right now. He's having a hard time getting around. He can't, you know, he has a little hip dysplasia too, and a long time ago he was diagnosed. So, 3-year-old, 4-year-old cat now, one arm, and, you know, his bones are deteriorating now. So, I don't have much time with Casper. I'm just enjoying every minute I can. He's a very gentle creature. You know, they're very skittish. They're little souls too, and they're little souls trying to teach us very big lessons in life, and that's what I'm trying to put together for myself right now from losing my dog Max. He's one of the greatest dogs that's ever existed, at least to me. I'm sure we all have our special pet, but Max was mine. All my animals, and my children, and, you know, my people. My people know. I have this thing that I do. My nickname is Xena Warrior, because I do this thing. And Casper's gonna expect the treat. He's definitely gonna look at me. To them, it's a sign for food. Thunder and Kumba, they don't care so much for the treats, but he's my food junkie. And my dog Max, he just meant a lot to me, and he was even part of the Xena Warrior, you know, part of my life. And I have this thing. It goes, Right? Here comes Casper. He's like, where's my food? I love you, honey. He loves some chicken, so he'll be getting chicken later. But Max would come on a stop of a dime when he was a puppy in front of like all the dogs in the dog park. This beautiful, massive 96 Great Dane red nose, looks like Scooby-Doo Brindle. Like, he had his ears that would flop over on to the same direction, or one would flop forward and the other one would flop back. He's just the sweetest animal, and he would come every time I did the Xena call, and that's my thing I do with my people, including my animals. So, you know, I had to put him down yesterday. It was 15 years he lived, and for a large dog, that's a very long time. So very blessed to have had my Max for as long as I was blessed with his presence. So yeah, that was a thing. So, you know, I find when we're grieving, to me, you know, my emotions are all over the place, and who would blame us for being bleh? Like, yesterday I was just full of tears and snot. It is, you know, that's just part of loving them, you know. So, but I know that if I move forward with my passions and my hobbies and, you know, my crafts, and like, you know, and be active with my physical being, I know it helps the grieving process. So I'm just, you know, getting back to little eyelids. You know, sometimes that's all you have to think about. It's just a little eyelid. I have a bunch of little tools I got from a friend. I don't even know exactly what they're called. They might be for clay. I don't know, but they work very well with the clay that I'm using. And I hand make it. You can find a recipe. It's called the Ultimate Paper Mache Clay. She has a newer recipe on there that I use now, because it just, you know, it's more finer detailed, and that's what I need for this piece particularly, something very fine detailed. And that way I can create the effect that I need. And see, right now I'm going back to the first eyelid, and I'm bringing up his eyelids a little bit so they're a little more plumped on the edge, and that they're sticking to the other clay, because it's just like working with regular clay. You have to process it. This has definitely been a process for me creating the game. To start tearing apart your pieces was very, very hard for me in the beginning. Like, oh my god, I worked so hard on that and I have to tear it apart. Well, you know, you get comfortable with with tearing your artwork apart. But I now have the confidence that, you know, if I break something, I can fix it, not a problem, you know. It's just probably the matter of time and paint. Sometimes time can be a factor. I do work. I have a cleaning company, so I detail everybody's houses every day. So that's my job. I'm happy with it. But, you know, I'm happy that I have my animals and they're a part of my life, and I'm so blessed to know them each on their own individual part of them, and they teach me things as I'm going through life, you know, like they're part of my everyday, and then we learn each other, and they probably know what I need, so they're teaching me things. I mean, who knows? They're little angels that walk beside us, teaching us about life and acceptance of things that we don't want to accept, like grief and death. Rainbow Bridge. What is that? they go? Where did they come from? The spirits, the souls within each and all of us. It's fascinating and terrible at the same time for me. Because I've struggled with a lot of grief in my life. You know, maybe I'll talk to you about those another day, but today's about Max, Casper, and eyelids. Taste of coffee in the morning. I love it. I had to back down on a lot of my coffee habits. You know, sometimes there's just a bit too much caffeine, and my body will tell me with eye twitching and stress too, I guess. There hasn't been any eye twitching in a while. I've been being conservative, but I like it in the morning. And this is the morning dew. Good morning. I don't normally wear glasses. These are reading glasses, just so I can see a little better. Today we are sanding down the ponds. See? I got a few of them that I just want to add a little more sanding to before I put more clay on them. So that's what we'll be working on. So it's been a hot minute before I've done a video, and it's been a little hard. The last video I posted was about, I don't know, 6 days after I had recorded it, and I had just lost my dog Max. We got Thunder right here. There's Thunder. Say hi, Thunder. He's a good boy. He is just a little over a year, so he's a Bengal, and I don't want him up here. Except for when they try to knock my pieces onto the floor. All right, baby. Where's your toy? Do you have a toy I can throw? He loves it when I throw toys. He likes to play fetch. My first cat ever played fetch. Yay. Since I seen you last, you know, I just lost my Maxwell, and this week I lost Casper. The cancer came back and took over his hip, and I've been dealing with 2 deaths back to back. And, you know, I've had it happen before with people, but this time it was with my animals. And I'll talk about that another day, but today's about Max and Casper. So, you know, the one was bad enough as it was. Then Casper, the cancer got to him really bad, and it just put an extra layer on top of me. You know, and there are both perfectly legitimate reasons why they passed. And Max lived to be 15, very old for a large breed dog. But Casper lived short. He lived 4 years, and the last year he battled cancer. It took his arm, and then it started in on his hips, and you know, we had to. That poor cat went through a lot last year, and I did too. Watching, being a part of it, and you know, and now he's not here, and there's little things I miss. Oh. But I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys about back-to-back deaths in general. I mean, I don't want to say I'm an expert on that. That's insane. Who wants to be an expert on back-to-back deaths? It's nobody. But it has happened to me a few times in my life, and the first time was with family of mine. a couple back to back. It was even different incidents of different things. It's just so bizarre how the universe, you know, decides to bring people home, and it leaves us with questions and blockages, and it's and they're and when they're back to back, they just compress together, and it's like, oh man, that beyond stung. That was deep in my soul. And but I know, like I stated before, working on something that means a lot to me will eventually help me pull me through, and, you know, work doesn't stop working. The world doesn't stop revolving. And we just got to keep moving like the rest of it is, as hard as it is. They wouldn't want us to be stagnant anyhow. We're still here enjoying life, and, you know, some people get stuck in there for a little too long, and I hope this message right here will help people move forward a little quicker. Yes, Kumba. Yeah, you know, they're not happy either, my animals. They miss him. He had a really good last day, Casper did. You know, got the client sent me home and said, take care of your cat. And I came home and he got a lot of chicken that afternoon, and yogurt and cheese and all this stuff, you know. But then the doctor wanted to take x-rays, and so I allowed it, and it did move into his hips, and, you know, I'm having a hard time getting up. I normally get up stupid early, so when I say 7:30, that's really late for me. So, but, you know, I'm here, and if anybody else is going through back-to-back, you know, passings of any kind, it's just, whatever you do, keep moving. I know your heart feels like it just stopped and got crushed and stomped on, but, you know, like, just keep moving, and I promise that day by day it'll get a little better. Less tears, less, you know, there'll be more moments where you're in the moment. So, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You need to just get in the moment, and enjoy life. I did a sunset paddle this Wednesday, right after Casper's passing, and it helps. It helps. I still felt like, yeah, you know, but to see my friends and the beautiful colors in the sky and the water, you know, it's soothing. It helps a lot. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're just kind of like, it's hard to move, it's hard to get out of bed, you just don't even want to think anymore. Yeah, I went to bed early too. I was just like, I'm done adulting, you know. How much more adulting do I need to do today? You know, just get out there, do things, get into your crafts, do your projects. I planted some roses right away, so now I'm watering roses and watching them grow. Just little momentums around the house of, you know, remembrance mostly. But I just wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about this, and I wish everybody a beautiful, wonderful day. And it's the morning dew. I'm gonna get this painting done. All right, guys. Bye. Good morning. Welcome to the morning dew. Please like or subscribe. Yes, I'm working to complete my ponds at this moment. Like, this one's very smooth. However, It's a little thinning right here on the top, so I'm adding a little bit of clay there. Currently, I'm working on a painting I'm calling The Game. It was a vision I had many years ago. I don't know, about 13, 14 years ago. I have a picture I took, and that will tell me the date, but I have to find it first. So, yeah, no, The Game has taken me a while, and I'm happy to almost be done with it. I promised myself that I was not going to create any other artwork until it's done. Of course, you know, I try to do the sketches or stuff as they come, because you never know, it could lead to something else later. But, you know, The Game has taken so much of my mind over the many, many years. And it plays out in life, and doesn't just play out in life, it is life. It's how we go about things in this world, and how we've always gone about things in this world. And The Game has a total of 45 hand sculpted pieces. And when I mean hand sculpted pieces, I'm not just saying simple little pieces. I have gone above and beyond. Let me show you. These are my two last. They're the most detailed, but they're all really great. Let me see. Let me fix his glasses. We have Gandhi. See? Look. He's really built out. And we have Bin Laden. Try to get him under the light. He looks great, doesn't he? See his little gun? A lot of people, when they see Bin Laden, they're like, why are you creating that man? You know, the thing about The Game, it's not about just the good. We like to portray life as all good. We don't want to show people our bad sides ever. Like, never. Even on social media, when we post privately ourselves, you know, we don't want to show our bad sides. We always show our good sides. We don't want to, you know, pollute our well-being, I guess you would say. And the thing is that's part of duality, is we're going to pollute our well-being because we're learning. And if we don't learn off of the bad people just as much as the good people, then we're not taking the accountability of how we can be on the other spectrum. You know, you have good and you have evil, and The Game is about the duality and, you know, good versus evil, and practically spirituality as well. I find it really amazing that the pieces, I noticed this the other day. I've been working on this thing for 13, 14 years, and I'm still finding little tidbits of information that I didn't see before. Like, you know, it could be like a black and white, you know, boom, but there's the gray is involved. So with the gray, there's added detail that you would have never have looked at if you just look at black and white. You need the gray to look at too. I keep learning things about The Game every day. And I think even when I'm done creating The Game, walking through life, I'll always see The Game. The Game is everywhere. The Game is life. We all speak about this game of life. It's this metaphoric game of life. And everybody talks about the game of life, but no one has ever seen the game of life. Hi, I'm Lindsay and Lynch, Artist LNL. And I had a vision 13, 14 years ago. It was given to me. It played like a movie. It scared me. I cried, honestly. It wasn't something I was prepared for. You know, just moments before I got the vision, maybe weeks. I'm stating 2 weeks. That's all I can remember. It's been so long. My memory has been blurring over. However, over the years, the game has never left my conscious. And as I've been going through my life, the last 13, 14 years, this picture has haunted me. And it has so much valuable information that I have to share with everyone. And at first I didn't want to. I really didn't want to. When I saw the painting, the vision, I didn't want to paint it at all. I've been told through family and friends and through my younger years to not talk about religion and politics. And I understand why. You know, people have their opinions and they're very strong opinionated about their opinions. Seriously. And I get that, and it's fine. You know, that's part of us being humanity, one as a whole, is we all have to be different in some way, and we find our piece in this puzzle, the game of life, and we play our role, we play our part. And, you know, through having to deal with society and life and bills and responsibility, and we've collaborated into the world of adulting. So in adulting world, you know, we don't have time for such hobbies as creating our projects. You know, I don't know if I said earlier in this part of the video, but I'm working on a piece called The Game, and it's been about a 13, maybe even getting close to 15-year process. I have to do a little back research. And it's haunted me. And like I said, I didn't want to paint this thing. This thing was scary to me. There was people I needed to put in here that, like, you know, my life will get threatened. Please, I'm not trying to offend anybody. And I really am trying to be as respectful and kind during this process of showing this to you, because I think it's important. It's our humanity, and we can't hide from who we are, because if we do, where's that going to get us? You want world peace? You gotta look within inside. And I found, working on the game, that we are very duality people. We talk about the white and the black. There's always white and black, but nobody ever talks about the gray. It's a hush hush. Oh, you're walking a thin gray line. Oh, that's a thin gray area. I think you found a catch-22. They say it all the time, don't they? You've heard it. They talk about it. But it kind of lands in the area of hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Because that's where we're safe. That's our safe spot. If we just go on about our business, we're safe, right? You know, we can protect what we're in survival mode. We're trying to protect our family, our friends, ourselves. And you know, and that's perfectly okay. I do it too. Like, you know, I was in denial of wanting to do this painting from the very moment I got the vision, but here I am 45 pieces later. I'm excited to share this with you, and I really, really hope that you will continue to learn off of this game forever. even with world peace. Please, let's get there. But without consciousness, we're not going to get there. So I can't wait to share this with you guys. Please like and subscribe. I never thought I'd get this far with it. But here I am. I'm going to finish it here with you guys. And I've been working on it for a very long time, so peace. What up? Lindsay Lynch here. Artist LNL. Out here hiking in the palm trees of Lake Jessup. I thought there'd be more water, but not on the loop I chose, so I'll try the other loop next time. So, but it's very pretty out here. Got to take some nice pictures. Saw butterfly, dragonfly, and some black and red snake. It kind of snuck up on me too. So now when I hear something rustling in the woods, I'm like, what is it? You never know. You know, I had to take a break from working, and not only at work, but on the game and around people. There's just a lot going on with life, and it sure does life get half to death, doesn't it? Sometimes. We had 5 animals in my family pass away within the last month and a half. 2 ducks, 2 dogs, and a cat. It was very heartbreaking and confusing, and you can't help but to ask yourself, what the hell? Dang, man. All right, stop now, Lord. I'm good. It happens sometimes like that, doesn't it? It just all hits you all at once, life. And so I just decided to take a hike today and look at the beautiful scenery and get some quiet and walk somewhere where I've never been before. So that was fun. Next time I'll have to do the other loop. Maybe I'll find more water. But yeah, no, I'm working on the game. And then I decided to research the game on YouTube to see what other people talk about when they talk about the game. And, you know, I think it's kind of funny. Generally speaking, they're all talking about the same thing, but it's different. One is playing an actual game of clues in life to here and there to ultimately find your goal or your Easter basket. And another one was to know the game of dating. That game. And generally speaking, yeah, you know, it's all the same. It's playing a game of life. And if you don't know the board you're playing, you can't really play well. So there's so many different games in life and boards we play on and all this stuff. And I can't wait to share my metaphoric game with you guys. It's gonna be great. 45 sculpted pieces. Wow. In between losing an animal, I just keep focused on my art. If I don't, I think I'd probably lose my mind. It's a safe spot for me. my form of refuge, you know, like, oh no, life is life in me, to the art. Sometimes it's not the art, sometimes it's paddleboarding, going down a river, taking a hike. Today's take a hike. Calm my mind. We just lost another dog yesterday, Daisy. She was our 8-year-old Rottweiler. Not sure what happened there. Just, you try your best you can, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And that's what happened. Very tragic. I remember the day that Daisy came into our life, and yeah, the memories, they'll get you teary-eyed, won't they? And the day I brought Max home, and the day I brought Casper home, and I'm sure my daughter remembers her ducks. And they've all had different things. Max was old, lives a long life. Casper had cancer in his bones. Daisy, undiagnosed, but something wasn't right. One duck got ran over. One got attacked by raccoons. Nonetheless, they all hold a special spot. And tears. So I just thought I'd get on here and say hi. And we got this. Life can keep lifing, but, you know, as long as I keep waking up, I'm gonna see what my day has. The hike was good today. Yeah. So I'm gonna go find my car now before it gets dark and the mosquitoes come. So you guys have a beautiful day. Thank you. Bye. Good morning. Currently working on Paul. We're redoing his beard. So it's been a long road with the game. I've been fine-tuning all the characters and the pawns and the symbols, and you know, and getting my mind straight on it. It's been quite an adventure. I've had to learn spirituality without a biased aspect on any of it. I've had to look at the good and bad of humanity, and like really deep dive into it, and not just with humanity, but even with myself. Learning the facts that, you know, we really do live in this kind of like rabbit hole called life. And we don't know when we're born what we're going to be up against. There's a lot of not so good people in this world, but there's also a lot of really good people in this world, and they want us focused in on the negativity, because if we're focused in on the negativity, we can't be in the frequency of connecting to source. So if we stay in this constant panic mode, they control us. And I don't know. What if our only hope was to experiment on ourselves? See what we can do in our own environment. It's hard. You know, I don't find it very easy to co-conspire in my own environment. I mean, with other people. And even with myself. I mean, it's taken me, I'm gonna say about 13 years or longer to co-conspire with the universe to create the game. Like, you know, it's been an adventure creating this. And I've enjoyed the process. And I've been very scared of the process all at the same time. I don't know if I was more scared of having to actually face my own self, or facing the reality of what we live with. You know, to live in a mindset of hear no, see no, speak no evil is total bliss. Total bliss. If I live that way, I don't have to even pretend that any of it even exists. Any of this negative density that we live in. Learning to co-conspire with the universe to create this has been an interesting process. And it makes me wonder, and maybe not wonder is the word, but question. It makes me question, like, they're taking away the arts in our schools. Why? So we can't connect to something? And I say something because it is something. I'm not connecting to nothing. I'm connecting to something. Creating this. And in the process of this, creating, I hope I'm able to connect to you. And bring you back to our roots. I'm not connecting you to anything that we don't even already know that already exists within us. This hasn't been a very easy process for me. Hasn't. It's been mindfuckery all the way. And it's okay. I'm honored. I'm honored to be this, whatever this is. Um, Check this out. I really like his beard. It looks cool. Look, I did this while I was talking to you all. See? It's his beard. I want to give you good light. There you go. You see it? Yay. He's got a beard. It's been fun. It's been really fun to create this. I've learned things that I didn't know I could learn. I could challenge myself in such a way, you know, to be able to teach yourself at a way that isn't traditional. Which is really great. And I'm grateful that I'm able to learn and listen in a way. I still feel like I'm a child playing. Innocent. Anyhow, I really hope you guys enjoy this. Have a good day. Good morning. So today is 23. I've been doing a watermelon fast as I finished the pieces to the game. I just finished. Yay! Now I'm going to celebrate by taking this little boy for a walk. We have co-decided that we would walk because he likes to go outside. So have a great day. I'm gonna take my kitty for a walk. By introducing the game by Artist LNL. LNL. On the light side, Martin Luther King, St. Paul, Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him, Jesus Christ, Joan of Arc, Buddha, Confucius, Gandhi. In the center, we have all 16 pawns. This isn't a normal chessboard. We have some pawns on the thin gray line. This is a spiritual board, a vision given to me. On the dark side, we have Heinrich Himmler, Ivan the Terrible, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong, Elizabeth Bathory, Hitler, Pol Pot, Osama bin Laden. There will be a surprise in this section when completed. That's the missing segment of the painting currently. I've been working on the pieces, 45 pieces, for 2.5 years. The vision has been in my head for 13 or more years. The game. Good morning. I hope everyone is well today. Today I'm touching up the black on the canvas. we had an incident at one time where Casper zoomed across the top of it when I was laying on the floor. So I got some lovely cat claw marks on some black squares, which is, you know, it is what it is. So I'm going to touch them up and get everything fresh for when I put the pieces on. Yay! So I wanted to stop in and say good morning to everybody and share a little bit of the painting process with you. So, you know, it's been quite an adventure creating this thing, and I still remember the vision when it was given to me. And, you know, it seems a little faded from from how long ago it was. But I still remember. And I remember the detail. And I remember the fear and the anxiety it gave me when I saw it. I remember not wanting to paint this. Why? When I was younger, I was told to not talk about religion and politics. And when I saw the vision of this piece, the whole thing was nothing but religion and politics. And it scared me. And, you know, it should. You know, it's we're made to believe like we're these little ponds in this big ocean. Big ocean. And you know, we're almost disposable creatures to mostly this side, the dark side. And it's scary when you put something out that is strongly emphasizes the wrongdoing of mankind, I guess you can say. Is politics the wrongdoing of mankind? I mean, I believe there should be leadership, yes. What kind of leadership? I don't know exactly what would be the best type of leadership for the world. You know, I think I do know exactly what would be the best type of leadership in the world, because on the light side, it very clearly states what type of leadership was the best kind for mankind. They were all the inspirational people of all time. They were the ones that was looking within themselves. That was the best kind of leadership mankind has ever had. Not the ones that are ruling society with exterior. They're just exterior looking to lead us when everything we need is internal. All the great teachers were internal. Why are our leaders not internal? They're all external. Me, 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 me. And, you know, they look at the pawns as if they are disposable. But you know what the great thing is about a pawn is if you make it all the way across the board, you get to transform. It's great, ain't it? We can transform into something within ourselves. I like that. Why not? Well, I'm excited. I'm excited that this thing is getting some more paint on it, and the pieces are going to be painted soon. Oh, yay! It's been a long time, and I just wanted to pop on here and, you know, say hi. Hi. I'm working. I promise. I'm trying to get on here. Look, I got a microphone now. I got a new light. So excited. All right, y'all. You have a wonderful day. Thank you. Peace. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Dew. Your host, Artist LNL. I am here to talk about the game. I'm very close to getting it done. This is the dark side. And of course we see Ivan the Terrible, Elizabeth Bathory, Joseph Stalin, and Osama bin Laden. I'm finishing up details. Joseph Stalin is the last character piece that I am painting. And see, I still have his face to paint. You see his medallions, like on the dark side, none of them have any white, or I call light, on their skin. It's all gray or black. And the only thing that does have white on their body is their eyeballs, because what I've noticed about painting the eyeballs is, you know, it comes again to the gray area that humanity doesn't really talk about. The lens of our eyes, that is the gray area of our eyes. You know, we have the white, the pupil, and like, what's that color section? The lens, right? So if you turn either one of our eyeballs into black and white photograph, we all have a gray lens. So to me, that's the duality of what we're all looking through. We're all looking through our own looking mirror. If you think of it as a mirror reflection. And with that mirror reflection, we get to see the duality of our world. So, you know, you could see what's good over here and what's bad over here. And, you know, we get to decipher it, because in that gray area is where we find our perception of what it is that we're experiencing. So, you know, as painting these lovely pieces, look at her. Doesn't she look amazing? Elizabeth Bathory, if you guys don't know who she is, she was the Blood Countess, and she bathed in the blood of virgin children. I did use real existing people on the game. It was very important to me to do my research on this thing, and so just know. It did take nearly 15 years because of my laziness. It's taken a lot of work. However, but do you also see on Joseph Stalin, all of his medals are white. and the outline, the definition of their clothing are white because they would like us to think that, when they're doing these very wrong actions, that they're walking in light and they're doing it for the good of mankind, which, I mean, maybe they are in their own perception, but they ended up causing the lives of millions of people, of all these people that I created for the game. And but as we look through our own perceptions, it's how we perceive what we saw is how we take our actions. And our actions explain exactly what side we're on. Are we on the dark side? Are we on the light side? Our actions show that. Don't we have that saying, you know, um words don't speak, actions do, something like that. It's not coming through my head clear, but that there's a metaphor right there. It's how we perceive our own actions of the duality through our own looking mirror, our gray lens of perception. And I got all that painting the eyeballs in white, black, and gray. But Bin Laden's eyes look really good too. Yeah, let's see if you can see it. See? It's a little dark, but I mean, it is the dark side. And currently I'm making hornet wings, so I'm just kind of showing you where I'm at on the process. These are the wings for the religious symbols. I did them twice. I did them in black and I did them in white, which, white is light and black is dark. So there really is no color but the gray if you look at it as light and dark. But so we got the light ones, they're bumblebees, and we have the dark ones and they're hornets. Now, with that theory, that concept right there, the hornets represent, like, do you really like hornet? Like, I don't like hornet. I'm scared they're gonna sting me. And, and that's the same concept of the dark side, They ended up stinging us like a bunch of hornets, and oh man. But the light side, when I researched the people on the light side, I researched the 8 most inspiring people of all time. Now, I think I hit the nail on the head on the light side, I didn't look like who were the great rulers or anything like that. I mean, there could have been a whole bunch of subject matters I could have looked up, but I wanted the most inspirational people of all times because they're the ones that made the bigger difference. And I'm very happy with the selection that I picked on my light side. On my dark side, there could be controversy on who I could have picked. Dark side, I was researching the ones that caused the largest genocides. There could be a lot of controversy on that because we don't want to talk about the darker things in life. It's actually a very taboo area, and they're trying to erase it for multiple reasons. Like I said, it all goes on the lens, the perception that you view it on. However, it is very important for our history and to know at least a fraction of what we went through and in humanity, so we don't relive our past mistakes, for crying out loud. So yeah, I'm making hornet wings for the religious symbols. That's part of the finishing factors. I'm making flags for the ladies. So if you hadn't caught on to that little tidbit with the stick, see, ain't that cool? I love it. So, but it's good. I learned so much creating this thing, and this is where I am with it. And I know I'm just kind of rambling because I'm really all over the place. Honestly, I'm getting ready to set this thing up into its reveal exhibition, and it's going to be displayed there this coming Monday, and we're on Friday, and I have to go to work and do other things. So you know, it didn't take 15 years because I'm lazy. You know, being an inventor, I collected debt, so I gotta take care of my responsibilities. But I mean, look at this, look at this. Ain't that cool? That's amazing. Like, wow, like this is such a dream for me. Like, I can't believe that this actually came out of my hands. um you know, look, I take his little wand out. See, ain't that cool? He got a little staff. This is Ivan the Terrible. Ivan the Terrible, you know, look, he was a very flashy man. He wore the cross, you know, and he still wasn't a very kind person. You know, he was bullied as a young prince, and you know that caused that determined his destination. That was his perception of people. So it all goes into that self-reflection, the mirror, the gray lens. You know, it's how we view our world, and honestly, the whole point of my little bugs over there, the light side are bumblebees. If you hadn't noticed, they got the bigger wings and they're white, and you know that those are the inspiring ones. There are these floating identities that we can't even really truly acknowledge, but we know they're there, but we think they're there, but we don't know if they're there. It's so taboo. But I really believe there's something more to our duality that we can't even concept, and maybe the concept of these good angel and little demon on my shoulder are real things, and they might be. I saw it in the vision, so I'm putting it in there. You know, it was a lot of thought on these little burgers, because you know, I'm like, were they necessary? No, they were absolutely necessary. They needed to be there because it is so taboo. I didn't even know if it needed to be there when it really did. I saw them in the vision, the vision that I had. Like, I saw this war going across the board, and the queen, she was just all like, you know, nurturing the light queen. It's a little different from my vision that the queens are. That's the only thing I really changed was the queens, and I'll talk about that on another day. But I really hope you guys like this piece. I worked really hard on it. There's a lot of metaphors in here that I've discovered creating it. And you know, I would love to hear the metaphors that you guys have heard throughout the years that you see in the game. I see it everywhere. The game. It's been kind of a crazy obsession, but like after I saw it, I couldn't unsee what I saw. And then all these metaphors of our humanity, I just was like, the game, the game, the game. This thing's my bucket list, y'all. It's my bucket list to create this for you guys. Have you ever had one of those things where if you were laying in your deathbed and you were thinking about all the things that you could do in this world, that you could have done in this world, and, you know, would you want to be regretful on something that you could have given the world? This is it for me. I don't want to ever be regretful of not giving this thing to you. to all of us. Even to me. I got a couple days to finish this. I'm so nervous. I've been tweaking out in my kitchen every morning and every evening. Yay! Coffee! It's almost done. I can't wait to share. You guys have a fantastic day. Bye. Peace. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Dew. Today I'm going to share the 16 character pieces of an art project that I've been working on for 13 to 15 years called The Game. It was a spiritual vision that I had received, and I felt it necessary to share it with the world. So I spent about 3 years almost, the last 3 working on the pieces, and now they're all about to get installed into the canvas. So I wanted to take a moment and share the characters with you before they are permanently attached. So our first rook, Martin Luther King. Ain't he great? I have a dream. Me too, Martin. Our rook on our dark side. This is Heinrich Himmler. Of course, we got the Nazi salute and all that stuff. So on the light side, we have our first knight. Here's St. Paul. Ain't he great? Look. Got his little fingers out there and everything. Ain't he? Okay. Our first knight on the dark side is Ivan the Terrible. He sure does look holy, doesn't he? Our first bishop on the light side would be Muhammad the Prophet. Peace be upon him. Our first bishop on the dark side. Joseph Stalin. He sure does look impressive, doesn't he? Now, representing the king position on the light side. Now, bear with me. These are the most inspirational people of all time. Not any particular ruler or whatever. The most inspirational. Our king, Jesus Christ. Our king on the dark side. Now, I chose kings by numbers of death of genocide. There could be someone worse than this individual, but I did intuitively chosen Mao Zedong. He was willing to give up a lot of his country, the pawns on his country, to make China great again. Lots of deaths there. Okay, so now we're on to a very, very cool. I love the ladies. So we got the queens here. Now, I still got a little bit more to do on the flag. I got to position them. But our queen on the light side, Joan of Arc, with her holy sword of 5 crosses on it. Ain't she cool? Now, our queen on the dark side, we have Elizabeth Bathory. And she got the dragon's tooth of her family emblem. battery. Now, our next round of bishops. On the light side, we have Buddha. On the dark side, we have Hitler. Our next round of knights, on the light side, we have Confucius. On the dark side, we have Pol Pot. For the final pieces of the 8 characters, we end with our rooks. On the light side, we have Gandhi. And finally, we have our last dark rook, Osama bin Laden. Okay, well, I get to put these on the chessboard today. So I hope you enjoy, and I look forward to sharing more. Thanks. Bye. Good morning. So I've been working on this piece of art for nearly 15 years. Maybe a few years less. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But it's finally done. Yay! The game. Good morning. I'm Artist LNL. I'm here to speak with you about a vision I had 15 years ago. It's called The Game. It is a spiritual chessboard that has 3 colors. It has black, which I consider dark, white, which I consider light, and gray, which I consider duality. There's only 3 elements here. It has nothing to do with any of the other divisional substances that we have picked. It has nothing to do with culture. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with sex. It has everything to do with our perception on how we see humanity. Now, a lot of people can say humanity is not really in a good spot. Society is not really in a good spot. And, you know, most people think it's just a current thing. However, I'm here to tell you it's not a current thing. This has been happening since we can remember. There's always been issues with humanity, with genocides, mass genocides, with shootings, with violence, but then that's just the dark side, you know, and that's what makes the world kind of crummy and crappy sometimes is the dark side of humanity, you know. But we have the good side of the humanity. We have the inspirational side, the people that are trying to create change in a positive direction. Now, we might not always agree to their viewpoints, or, you know, there's a catch-22, the thin gray line, that gray area. We work in gray. We work in duality. This 3-dimensional world is duality. It's a gray area. And until we can see the gray, which I also consider the hear no, see no, speak no evil of mankind, until we can conclude that that is our gray area, we're not going to agree on anything. So I'm here to express to you what I saw in a vision 15 years ago. It has taken me 15 years to create this, to give it to you here today. Now, my artwork is currently on exhibit, so I have to project it on a screen, but it was really hard for me to describe what I saw to people without actually having the picture. So it took me 15 years to create the people, to research the people, and all this stuff. So, but this is what I have for you here today. And my cats might be jumping on my equipment, so I apologize ahead of time. So, we have 8 of the most inspirational people of all time. We have Martin Luther King. He was known for his speaking of humanity and equality, being equal. You know, the race shouldn't have a thing. You know, we should just be looking at each other through the lens of, are you a good person or are you a bad person? He was a good person trying to help the world become better. He was a speaker. Yes, that's a good thing. Okay, we have St. Paul. St. Paul wasn't always a good person, okay? Let me tell you that. He actually was trying to kill Jesus and his disciples. And he had an epiphany one day. Jesus came down after he'd already passed and said, Paul, why do you forsaken me? And Paul's like, oh, who is this? Is this Jesus? He blinded him, sent him to his disciples and said, hey, you know, go to them and they'll repair your vision. And he did. And it happened. And he became Jesus's #1 inspirational followers of all time. And he wasn't even alive anymore. So we have St. Paul. Then we have Muhammad the Prophet. Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him, by the way, he is completely veiled in the painting because in their culture, they do not idolize icons. So it's very disrespectful to have photographs of Muhammad, peace be upon him, or any other political or movie stars or anything. So that I have learned. But he was a great prophet. He was told by the universe, God, to, you know, read about it. He's like, I don't even know how to read. But he did, and he ended up being a warrior for God. Now, not everybody will agree to that because he got caught on the catch-22, the thin gray line of duality. There's a lot of gray areas living in this world. We live in duality. So, you know, people have a lot to say. Oh, he was good. Oh, he was bad. Oh, you know what? He was inspiring the people to move forward, right? And we have Jesus Christ. Oh, yes, he is the king on my spiritual chessboard. You guys have crowned him. Maybe not us personally, but past history crowned him as the spiritual king. He deserves to be there. That is his position. You know, he inspired more people on this planet than anyone else. You know, like so many people, you know, they want to naysay on Christians and Christians want to naysay on people. But the facts is Jesus was inspiring to help the people, to move the people forward. And that is exactly what he did. And he still continues to do that spiritually through our universe and our world as we live through the gray. All right? Jesus is king of the chessboard. Okay, my queen of the chessboard. It was very hard for me to find a queen for the good side. You want to know why? Because history likes to erase women. Ha! You know what? And it's okay. You know, I accept that. And they say no well-behaved woman ever makes history. So, you know, Joan of Arc, she had to hide in suits of armor as she heard angelic voices to stop a 100-year-old war that was going on. And she did that, and she was successful. And then she became a pain in the butt to the king that she had made the king. And, you know, they killed her at the stake for being a witch when she was a prophet. True story. Buddha was before Jesus Christ. Buddha and Confucius was before Jesus Christ. Well, Buddha, he was sheltered. It was prophesied that Buddha would be either a great spiritualist or he would be a great king. And he was supposed to be a king. And he was sheltered from all the negative stuff, the sickness, the old, the disease. He was sheltered from it all. And then once he discovered it existed, he's like, whoa, wait a minute. What is this? And it's kind of exactly where we are right now. I believe America has been really sheltered. And now we're seeing all this violence, but we know it's been going on. We just hadn't really seen it. It hadn't affected our country. So we've been over here living da-da-da-da-da, you know, because we're America, the land of the free. Well, you know, it's not free. Freedom is not free, ever. It costs lives. It costs a lot of talking. It costs a lot of compromising. And people aren't willing to compromise. But Buddha showed me just within recent times that when you live a sheltered life and then all of a sudden the veil comes lifting off your eyeballs, it's not what it cracked up to be. You know, there's a lot of bad stuff going on. But he was on a quest to change that about humanity. And he became a great spiritualist with meditation and wisdom and all the stuff because he was a good person. And that was before Jesus. And like a lot of people don't get credit for who they were and when they were. But you know what? Buddha was a great guy, you know? And he brought peace and tranquility to his land, to where he was located at. You know, people were positioned in different places of the planet for a purpose, to spread inspiration. Confucius, he was before Jesus. He was before Jesus. Confucius, his mom was very young and his dad was very old, but higher up in the culture. So he was able to go to school because he was of a higher bloodline because of his father. So when his father passed away, he was able to go to schools, which people from his mom's side and that part of society were not allowed to go to school. Well, he got educated and he's like, you know, this education needs to go to everybody. And he was a great teacher of good stuff. You know, he taught how to be good people to each other. What are good rules and ethics, and educated them. And he was a great teacher. You know, Confucius says, you know, we say it all the time. We don't think of it like that, but yes, Confucius says, because he was a great teacher. Okay? And then over here, we have Gandhi. Everyone loves Gandhi. Gandhi did a lot of great things. He fasted a lot. You know, a lot of these people on the inspirational side did a lot of fasting. They did a lot of fasting. They did a lot of meditation. They did a lot of praying. All of them. They have different cultures from every backgrounds and all this stuff. And it's like, if we don't see one tunnel vision, then we're wrong. And I don't think that's necessarily true. You know, don't put a label on me. There's no label on me. I don't label myself, so let's just not go there. But however, Gandhi, he did what was good for the people. He fasted until his people stopped fighting because they loved him, because he was a good person, and he fought for them. Just like, you know, we rarely get people to fight for us, and the good battle. And you know, that's a fight worth fighting for, okay? These people all fought for the good battle, all right? Now, that's some of the 8 inspirational people of all time. Now we're going to go to the dark side. Heinrich Himmler, he helped Hitler recruit all the people to kill millions and millions of people, right? Millions of people. Killed them. Like, left and right, just killing people. They were taking steroids. They were feeding their soldiers steroids so they could be killing machines 24/7. 24/7. How could the good people even keep up when the war with them was drugged? Okay? So, and then we have Ivan the Terrible. You know what? You know what happened to Ivan? He was a young prince, and the people didn't want him to live, and they bullied him. Well, you know what? You know, he managed to live through that after they tried to kill him when he was younger. And he was like, you know what? These people aren't very good to me, so I'm not going to be very good to them. So he ended up being a very bad ruler, and he was killing his people ruthlessly, okay? Because of his perception of humanity, all right? Because of the gray area in between. How many of you have had a bad taste in your mouth from something that people have done to you, but however, you have turned around and projected that hatred to other people? That was Ivan the Terrible, all right? Right there, okay? We have Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin, he was all dolled up and with medallions. He was the man. He was the guy who was he was the communist. He was the leader of the communists, and he had a playbook, and he did really good with his playbook, and he killed a lot of people too. So, and you know what? And you know what? Coming up right behind him, Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong, he took a lot of those rules that he got off of Joseph Stalin, and he was playing them to the max. And Mao Zedong, he was doing the great leap forward for his country. And he didn't care if he killed half of his country to make China where it is today. And he even had a little red book. And they had little red flags flying around in the name of Mao. You know what? Oh, I see red flags, right? You know, where did that come from? Oh, I don't know. But guess what? You know what? You want to hear something else? Okay, let's go to Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Queen. Okay, now she was an heiress of royalty, and a king was her uncle. So she lived in the castle on the family property. Well, she started an etiquette school because she had some kind of funky thing that was going on with her, and she ran across the witch that was guiding her and said, hey, if we do this, that, and the other, you know, you'll be healed and everything will be great. So she did that, and she bathed in the blood of virgin children, virgin girls, and she had an etiquette school. And then she would tell the people, oh, a plague came and killed them all. But she was brutally killing them, young girls, for her own witchy needs. And you know what? You know what she got? She got house arrest for the rest of her life. Now, I think they boarded up her windows and whatever, but they gave her house arrest so royalty wouldn't lose their family area. They didn't want to lose their castle. So they gave her, she didn't even go on the stand. You know, she was a witch playing witchy things, and she didn't get burned. She got house arrest. Poor Joan of Arc was a poor farm girl. Guess what happened to her? She heard angelic voices, and they burned her and called her a witch. You know, right there is privileged. You don't even need color for that. They're both two white girls. It doesn't matter. You know, there's the privileges if you're high society or lower class. You know, I'm lower class. You going to look down on me for that? Whatever. So, now we have Hitler. Hitler was a great, you know, he wanted to be an artist. What's wrong with being an artist? You know, the art world is so finicky. Well, they wouldn't let him be an artist. So, you know, he's like, all right, well, then I'll go do something else. Well, then he ended up, like, hating on all the Germans. And I don't even understand, because I do believe his mother was not German. Yeah, no, wait, yeah, German. No, it was the Germans and the Jews. Yes, he was killing all the Jews. And his mother was Jewish. You know, I don't understand. Why wouldn't you? It was his mom. I don't know. But he was killing everybody. Millions of people. And he even had, you know, recruiters. Heinrich as his recruiter. So, you know, history, right? History. And people allowed it. And then I don't know how that happened. How does this get allowed? Like, how do these people get so much power to just kill everybody and get away with it and keep doing it day on and day out? Like, you know, I don't understand. And then we have over here Pol Pot. Now, he was responsible for the death fields in Cambridge. I believe that's what it's called. Cambodia? Yeah. And like, there's still bombs in his country today planted in the ground, and when the people are out there trying to farm and hunt and all that, they get blown up still today because of this guy. There's people, their people are going around with no limbs, and they're trying to find ways to create work for them so they can be a viable part of their society. Now, so, and he was responsible for millions of deaths too. You know, he got away with it. They don't know where they buried him now, but you know, he was not a good person. And then over here, this was part of my current history as I was growing up and raising my children. Osama bin Laden, right? He was teaching the children to shoot guns. He crashed planes into the Twin Towers for 9/11. You know, he wasn't a good person. He was on the thing. But you know what's made me think recently about Osama bin Laden? You know, we're like, okay, don't kill our prophets. And people kill the prophets. Okay, but then we go out and be like, oh, that guy's evil. We need to kill him. And then they go kill him. You know, that is kind of a catch-22. When do we draw the line of when death is okay and death is not okay? I don't know. Like, okay, he's really evil and he's killing a lot of people. Does that justify killing? Is killing ever justified? He killed a lot of people. We should kill him. He inspired a lot of people. We should kill him. Where's the balance here? When is killing acceptable? I don't understand it. It just blows my mind. Why can't we have the discernment between what is good and what is evil? I don't understand this. Can somebody please explain this to me? Write it down in the comments. Let's start a conversation. Where does that line get drawn? Where is the gray too dark and the gray too light? Where's the balance here? I need to know. The people need to know. We need to know these things because we're fighting with each other about this. There's only really 3 common denominators that we all have. We have inspirational, the light, and we have genocidal, the dark, murders, all that stuff, and then we have the gray, that gray area of, oh, you're in a small gray area. So what does it mean to be in duality? What does it mean? Where is the balance of duality? Where is this? Because I'm lost here. You're lost here. Most of us are lost here. And some people are really great debaters and they can probably give me the answer, and I would like to see it in the comments below. Please explain this to me, you know, because the world needs this. We need to talk about this. We need to talk about this healthy without shooting each other, and we need to like, I don't know. How do you convince someone like Osama bin Laden that, you know, you shouldn't be killing the people for certain reasons? Like, how do you convince somebody that? How do you convince somebody that you know, they're, you know, I don't understand. I don't understand. Just because someone isn't your race or your culture or agrees with your spiritual beliefs, they're your enemy. I don't understand. I don't understand. Does that make any sense to you? Okay. I love Jesus. I'm not Christian. I'm not Buddhist. I'm not anything. Don't label me. I'm not labeled. I couldn't create the game being biased in any degree. I could only create the game by having my own ignorance and learning through it. Where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? You know, where do we say, okay, you know, you're not Christian, but you're a good person, and I love you. You know, you know, where do we draw the line where, you know, my religious beliefs don't match up with yours, but that's okay because I still love you. A lot of this is over religion. A lot of these deaths are over religion, money, and power. Religion, money, and power. What if we took those all away? What do we have? We have good, we have evil. Good versus bad. That's what we have. We have good versus bad. You take all that away. That's all we have. Can we just go to something common? That's what we have common. Good versus bad. I'd like to know. I'd like to know your thoughts. You know, I think we can do better. And I'm fighting for humanity. I'm not fighting for the Christians. I'm not fighting for the Muslims. I'm not fighting, well, I guess you can say I'm fighting for all of them. I'm fighting for all of you. I'm not putting a label on you. Why do we have to put labels on each other? Left versus right, Democrats versus Republicans. Like, don't label me. I'm none of that. I'm not. I'm independent. I'm independent. Don't call me liberal. I'm not woke. I don't know what this woke thing is, but you know, I'm just trying to spread consciousness. of the gray. The duality. The duality of humanity. And if we're not fighting for the whole world, who are we fighting for? Just ourselves. This world is bigger than just one person. This world is bigger than just one country. This world is bigger than just one political direction. This world is bigger than any culture or race. This world is bigger than anything you can touch, feel, or taste. It's so much bigger. Because where do we go when we die? Where do we go? It's so much bigger. It's so much bigger than what we see here on this planet. So much bigger. It could be so big. This could be galaxy big. This could be different worlds big. You know, this could be way bigger than we could even imagine. What are we fighting for? Are we fighting to be correct? Are we fighting to be right? Or are we fighting to be good? I'm fighting to be good. I'm not always. I'm not perfect. Not very many people are. But I'm still fighting for the good. And I'm fighting the good of humanity for all over. Not just this world, all worlds. Not just this country, all countries. Where are we going to draw the line? Where's the gray stop and start? You tell me.
So I'm currently at the exhibit and it is looking phenomenal in here. Look at all that great artwork. Yay! It's so cool. It's still my favorite. I'm sorry, everybody. It's still my favorite. Here you go. Hey guys. Artist LNL, Xena Warrior. You know, I was at a restaurant last night and I did a small version of that just like that, and the customers wanted me to do the full version in the restaurant. I did. I warned them, but they said please do it, so I did. But I'm here at the exhibit. Come join me in this wonderful evening for the last reception, and I will see you soon. Bye.
Welcome to the game, a spiritual battlefield within humanity. We're walking the thin gray line of the Catch-22. Chori Mind reflects the mental constraints of the individual perception. In duality is where war tactics take place. From the whispers of the imagination, making our discernment, play the role to agree or disagree, ultimately creating our action of reaction. Humanity's savior is discovering the consciousness between light and dark energies. The divide is in the gray of duality, within the reflection of thyself. Let's study our past history, which clearly demonstrates how our inner perception rules our exterior world. Playing a metaphoric game that controls the matrix of our reality. Being one is understanding the left versus right in that small gray taboo area of the hear no, see no, speak no evil of mankind. The divide is in the duality. Let's make it conscious.